Welcome, history enthusiasts. Today, we drift back in time to explore the incredible story of the ancient wonders of the world, monuments of human ambition, creativity, and ingenuity that have fascinated generations. From the towering pyramids of Egypt to the legendary hanging gardens of Babylon, and the awe-inspiring marvels of Greece and Asia Minor, we'll uncover the secrets, history, and mysteries behind these timeless wonders. Before we journey through time, don't forget to like this video, share it with fellow history lovers, and subscribe to our channel for more fascinating stories from the past. Hit the bell icon so you never miss a video that takes you deeper into history's most incredible tales. Throughout human history, people have dreamed of creating something that would endure for centuries, something that would stand as a testament not only to their skill and creativity, but also to their vision of the world. From the deserts of Egypt to the lush river valleys of Mesopotamia, from the ancient cities of Greece to the bustling ports of Asia Minor, civilizations have sought to leave their mark in stone, bronze, and marble. Among the most celebrated of these achievements were the so-called seven wonders of the ancient world. These wonders were not merely buildings or statues. They were monuments to human ambition, expressions of culture, and symbols of power and divine favor. They captured the imagination of travelers, historians, and scholars for thousands of years, becoming the benchmark by which later generations measured greatness. Yet, despite the awe they inspired, only one of these wonders, the Great Pyramid of Giza, remains intact today. The others, for various reasons ranging from natural disasters to human neglect and destruction, have vanished from the physical world, leaving behind only stories, fragments, and artistic depictions. The concept of the wonders likely emerged from ancient travelers' accounts, who recorded remarkable sights during their journeys across the Mediterranean and Near Eastern worlds. These travelers were struck by what they saw, marveling at the scale, craftsmanship, and ingenuity of these creations. They shared their experiences through oral stories, letters, and early forms of guidebooks, which eventually coalesced into lists celebrating these extraordinary feats. By the Hellenistic period, scholars had identified 7 monuments that they considered unparalleled in magnificence. The choice of 7 may have symbolic significance, as the number 7 often represented perfection or completeness in ancient cultures, from astrology to religion. Each wonder was unique, reflecting the aesthetics, technologies, and religious beliefs of the civilization that created it. Yet together, they formed a catalog of humanity's highest aspirations. The first wonder, and the only one still largely standing, is the Great Pyramid of Giza. Erected over 500 years ago during the reign of Pharaoh Khufu, the pyramid was intended as a tomb for the pharaoh and as a monumental demonstration of his divine authority. Its construction was an extraordinary achievement in both engineering and organization. Millions of limestone blocks, some weighing several tons, were transported, shaped, and assembled with remarkable precision. The alignment of the pyramid to the cardinal points of the compass, its precise dimensions, and the sophistication of its internal chambers continue to baffle modern archaeologists and engineers. It is not merely the scale of the structure that astonishes, but also the ingenuity of the techniques employed by a civilization that lacked modern machinery. The labor force, often idealized as a massive army of slaves, but more likely a skilled workforce of Egyptian laborers, artisans, and architects, had to overcome immense logistical challenges to create a structure that would endure millennia. The Great Pyramid's survival is a testament to its construction. It has withstood earthquakes, the test of time, and even human intervention, serving as a beacon of human potential and ambition. The second wonder, the Hanging Gardens of Babylon, is enveloped in mystery. Unlike the Great Pyramid, whose existence and location are undisputed, the Hanging Gardens' historical reality is debated. According to ancient accounts, these gardens were an astonishing feat of horticultural engineering, featuring terraced gardens with flowing water and exotic plants, seemingly suspended in the air. They were said to have been built by King Nebuchadnezzar II for his wife, Amides, who longed for the green hills of her homeland. The descriptions evoke images of waterfalls cascading from terraces, flowers in bloom, and a verdant oasis rising from the arid plains of Mesopotamia. Yet despite these vivid accounts, no definitive archaeological evidence of the gardens has been found. Some scholars suggest that the gardens may have been a poetic exaggeration, a legend passed down through generations, while others believe they existed but were destroyed by floods, earthquakes, or neglect. The uncertainty surrounding the Hanging Gardens adds to their allure, allowing imagination to fill in the gaps where history remains silent. The statue of Zeus at Olympia in Greece represents another type of wonder, an artistic and religious masterpiece. Crafted by the renowned sculptor Phidias around 435 BCE, the statue was made of ivory and gold, depicting the king of the Greek gods seated majestically on his throne. Standing approximately 12 meters tall, it was housed in the Temple of Zeus, one of the largest and most important temples in ancient Greece. The statue was not merely decorative. It symbolized divine authority, cultural identity, and the religious devotion of the Greeks. Worshippers traveled from across the Greek world to pay homage to Zeus, marveling at the craftsmanship and grandeur of Phidias' creation. Unfortunately, like many of the other wonders, the statue of Zeus did not survive the ravages of time. Historical records suggest that it was destroyed, likely by fire, in the 5th century AD, leaving behind only descriptions and artistic representations. Its absence reminds us of the fragility of even the most magnificent creations, subject to the whims of fate, war, and natural disaster. The Temple of Artemis at Ephesus in modern-day Turkey was another architectural marvel, celebrated for its grand scale and intricate artistry. This temple, dedicated to the goddess Artemis, underwent several reconstructions due to destruction by arson and invasions. Each iteration sought to surpass the previous, reflecting the city's wealth, religious devotion, and artistic sophistication. The temple featured massive marble columns, elaborate sculptures, and decorations that showcased the skill of Hellenistic craftsmen. Despite its splendor, it was eventually destroyed by invading forces in the 3rd century AD, leaving only fragments behind. Today, these remnants, along with coins and artistic depictions, allow historians and archaeologists to piece together a sense of its former glory. The Temple of Artemis exemplifies how monumental architecture can serve as both a symbol of devotion and a stage for historical events that shape civilizations. The mausoleum at Halicarnassus, built as a tomb for King Mausolus and his wife Artemisia, combined elements of Greek, Egyptian, and Lycian architectural styles. This synthesis of styles created a unique and impressive structure, adorned with elaborate sculptures depicting scenes from mythology and daily life. The term mausoleum, used today to describe grand tombs, originates from this very monument. Despite its significance and beauty, earthquakes during the Middle Ages reduced the mausoleum to ruins. Later, the stones were repurposed by locals for construction, erasing most of the physical presence of the structure. Yet, through ancient texts, drawings, and the influence it had on subsequent architecture, the mausoleum at Halicarnassus continues to inspire awe and respect. The Colossus of Rhodes, A massive bronze statue of the sun god Helios was erected to celebrate the city's victory over an invading force. Standing more than 30 meters tall, it was an engineering marvel and a symbol of resilience and pride. For 56 years, it dominated the harbor of Rhodes, welcoming sailors and visitors with its imposing presence. However, a powerful earthquake toppled the statue, and ancient accounts claim that it remained in fragments for centuries before being sold for scrap. The Colossus illustrates both the ambition of human creation and the impermanence imposed by natural forces. Even the grandest achievements are subject to the whims of the earth, reminding us of the delicate balance between human endeavor and environmental reality. The lighthouse of Alexandria, built on the island of Pharos, served as both a navigational aid and a symbol of the city's importance as a center of trade and knowledge. Rising over 100 meters, it was one of the tallest structures of the ancient world. Its light, reflected from polished bronze mirrors or large fires, guided sailors safely into the harbor, preventing shipwrecks and fostering trade. The lighthouse withstood earthquakes, fires, and centuries of use, but by the 14th century, it had collapsed. Today, archaeological remains, coins, and historical accounts provide glimpses of its former magnificence. The Lighthouse of Alexandria exemplifies how engineering can serve practical purposes while simultaneously standing as a testament to human creativity and vision. Together, these wonders reflect the extraordinary capabilities of ancient civilizations. They were products of immense labor, innovative techniques, and cultural values that prioritized art, religion, and legacy. Each wonder tells a story not only of its creators, but also of the society that admired, maintained, or ultimately witnessed its destruction. While only the Great Pyramid of Giza remains standing today, the memory of the other wonders continues to captivate imaginations around the world. Their stories inspire architects, engineers, historians, and ordinary people alike, reminding us that even in a world where empires rise and fall, the desire to create something extraordinary endures. What fascinates historians and enthusiasts is how these wonders, though separated by geography and time, share common themes: ambition, devotion, and a desire to push the boundaries of what is possible. Whether the lush greenery of the Hanging Gardens, the golden majesty of Zeus, or the towering presence of the Colossus, each wonder embodied a civilization's highest aspirations. They remind us that humans have always sought to leave a mark that transcends their lifetime, a reminder to future generations of what was achieved and what was valued. Even in their absence, the wonders continue to tell stories of innovation, culture, and the human spirit's relentless pursuit of greatness. The Great Pyramid of Giza, often called Khufu's Pyramid or the Pyramid of Cheops, is arguably the most enduring symbol of ancient human achievement. It stands as a silent testament to a civilization that flourished over 4,000 years ago in the harsh deserts of Egypt, yet somehow managed to produce monuments that continue to inspire awe even today. Unlike the other wonders of the ancient world, which have succumbed to time, earthquakes, and human destruction, the Great Pyramid remains largely intact, a towering presence on the Giza Plateau that commands attention and invites reflection. To understand the significance of the pyramid, one must first appreciate the civilization that produced it. Ancient Egypt was a society built on stability, centralized authority, and religious devotion. Pharaohs were not merely political leaders. They were seen as divine intermediaries between the gods and the people, entrusted with maintaining Mat, the cosmic order. The construction of monumental structures, particularly pyramids, was both a religious duty and a demonstration of the pharaoh's power and eternal presence. The Great Pyramid, constructed during the reign of Pharaoh Khufu around 2005, 180-2005, 160 BCE, was designed to serve as his tomb and a gateway to the afterlife. The scale of the Great Pyramid is staggering. Originally standing at approximately 146.6 meters, it was the tallest man-made structure on Earth for more than 800 years. Its base covers an area of over 13 acres, and it is composed of an estimated 3 million blocks of limestone and granite, each weighing between 2, 5, and 15 tons. The precision of construction is equally remarkable. The base is almost perfectly level, and the sides are aligned almost exactly with the 4 cardinal points of the compass. How the ancient Egyptians achieved such feats without modern machinery has been the subject of debate, speculation, and admiration for centuries. Various theories have been proposed, including the use of massive ramps, sledges lubricated with water or oil, and intricate labor organization, but no single explanation has been universally accepted. What is clear is that constructing the pyramid required not only immense physical labor, but also extraordinary planning, architectural knowledge, and a sophisticated understanding of mathematics and astronomy. Inside the pyramid, the complexity continues. Contrary to the simple external appearance, the interior contains chambers, passageways, and shafts that demonstrate advanced engineering knowledge. The king's chamber, made of granite, was intended to house the pharaoh's sarcophagus and treasures. The queen's chamber, along with a series of smaller passages, served religious and symbolic functions, possibly aligned with celestial bodies to guide the pharaoh's soul in the afterlife. The Grand Gallery, an architectural marvel in itself, rises nearly 8 meters in height, with precise corbelling that supports the weight of the structure above. These internal chambers were designed not only for practicality, but also as part of a spiritual journey, reflecting the Egyptian belief that death was merely a transition to another realm. Labor for the construction of the Great Pyramid is often misunderstood. Popular imagination has long depicted massive armies of slaves toiling under harsh conditions, but recent archaeological evidence suggests otherwise. Excavations and studies of workers' villages indicate that a well-organized workforce of skilled laborers, craftsmen, and temporary workers carried out the construction. They were housed in purpose-built accommodations, provided with medical care, and likely compensated in food, beer, and shelter. These workers took pride in their contribution, leaving inscriptions and graffiti inside the pyramid and on surrounding stones that bear their names and the names of their crews. This insight not only humanizes the labor force, but also highlights the social organization and administrative capability of ancient Egypt. The pyramid's enduring presence is also a testament to the quality of materials and construction techniques. The limestone casing that once covered the pyramid, giving it a smooth, gleaming appearance, has mostly eroded or been removed over centuries, but the underlying blocks remain remarkably resilient. The pyramid has withstood earthquakes, weathering, and human activity for millennia, providing modern engineers with a rare opportunity to study ancient construction methods firsthand. Its survival has made it a symbol of permanence in a world where civilizations rise and fall, a physical connection to a time when human ambition was expressed through monumental architecture. Equally fascinating is the cultural and symbolic significance of the pyramid. It was not merely a tomb, it was a cosmic instrument, a reflection of the Egyptians' understanding of the universe. The pyramid's shape, a square base rising to a point, was seen as a representation of the primordial mound from which the world was created, and its alignment with the stars and the cardinal points was no accident. Some researchers suggest that the pyramid may have functioned as a kind of astronomical observatory, with passages aligned to specific stars or solstices. Others emphasize its role in rituals associated with the pharaoh's journey to the afterlife, reinforcing the idea that architecture, religion, and power were inseparably intertwined in ancient Egypt. While the Great Pyramid continues to inspire awe and curiosity, the Hanging Gardens of Babylon present a very different kind of wonder, one that exists almost entirely in the realm of imagination and legend. Unlike the Great Pyramid, whose existence and location are beyond dispute, the Hanging Gardens are enigmatic, their reality debated by historians and archaeologists for centuries. According to classical accounts, the gardens were constructed by King Nebuchadnezzar II of Babylon, who ruled during the 6th century BCE, for his wife Amydes, who longed for the green hills and valleys of her homeland. The gardens were described as a series of ascending terraces, lush with a variety of trees, shrubs, and flowers, watered by an ingenious system of pumps and aqueducts that drew water from the nearby Euphrates River. Travelers' accounts describe an almost otherworldly beauty, waterfalls cascading from one level to another, vines and blossoms filling the air with fragrance, and an architectural integration of nature and engineering that seems almost magical. Despite these vivid descriptions, there is no direct archaeological evidence of the Hanging Gardens. No remnants of the terraces, pumps, or structures have been conclusively identified in the ruins of Babylon. Some scholars suggest that the gardens may never have existed in Babylon at all, proposing that the accounts could be a romanticized description of a garden in Nineveh, the Assyrian capital, or even a symbolic metaphor for abundance and prosperity. Others believe the gardens did exist, but were destroyed by floods, earthquakes, or neglect over the centuries, leaving no trace. The mystery only adds to their allure, allowing imagination to fill in the details and inviting each generation to envision what might have been. The Hanging Gardens, real or mythical, reveal a different aspect of human ambition, the desire to transform nature into art and to create beauty in harmony with architecture. Whereas the Great Pyramid expressed permanence, grandeur, and divine authority, the Hanging Gardens represented creativity, aesthetic pleasure, and the mastery of the natural world. They were designed to be experienced in real time, to be walked through, smelled, and admired, rather than simply observed from a distance. The contrast between the pyramids and the gardens highlights the diversity of human expression in the ancient world, one monumental, enduring, and awe-inspiring, the other ephemeral, sensory, and intimate. The engineering challenges of the Hanging Gardens would have been immense. Transporting massive quantities of soil, constructing terraces strong enough to support mature trees, and developing a water lifting system capable of maintaining such a lush environment in the arid Mesopotamian climate would have required innovative solutions. Ancient texts describe devices such as Archimedes' screw or chain pumps, although these accounts were written centuries after the gardens were supposedly constructed. If the gardens did exist, they would have represented a remarkable achievement in hydraulic engineering, combining practical problem solving with an aesthetic vision. Both the Great Pyramid and the Hanging Gardens reveal the human desire to create the extraordinary, to leave behind something that communicates across time and space. They embody different approaches, one striving for permanence and divine connection, the other for sensory delight and emotional resonance. Together, they illustrate the range of human ambition in the ancient world, showing that civilizations valued not only strength, order, and authority, but also beauty, innovation, and the ability to inspire wonder. These monuments, whether still standing or lost to history, continue to shape our understanding of the past, inviting questions about how and why humans endeavor to achieve greatness. The Great Pyramid and the Hanging Gardens also provide insight into the societies that produced them. In Egypt, centralized authority, religious devotion, and social organization made the construction of massive monuments feasible. Skilled labor, meticulous planning, and cultural values aligned to support monumental building projects. In Babylon, the emphasis was on luxury, aesthetic pleasure, and the display of wealth and power. Gardens, parks, and palaces reflected both the city's prosperity and its ruler's desire to impress visitors and citizens alike. Both civilizations understood the importance of creating works that transcended the everyday and captured the imagination, whether through the permanence of stone or the ephemeral beauty of cultivated nature. These wonders also raise questions about the interaction between humans and the environment. The Great Pyramid was built in the desert, a harsh and unforgiving landscape, yet it utilized the resources available: limestone from quarries nearby, granite transported from Aswan, and human ingenuity to achieve something that has endured for millennia. The Hanging Gardens, conversely, sought to bend nature to human will, creating lush greenery in a dry, arid environment. Both required an intimate understanding of materials, labor, and environmental conditions, demonstrating that ancient civilizations possessed sophisticated knowledge of engineering, hydraulics, and logistics. Finally, both wonders highlight the importance of storytelling and memory. The Great Pyramid's enduring presence continues to tell a story of ambition, skill, and devotion. The Hanging Gardens, even if they existed only in legend, continue to captivate imaginations and inspire exploration. They remind us that the human desire to create, to astonish, and to leave a mark on the world transcends the limitations of time, geography, and circumstance. Whether through stone or imagination, these monuments have achieved a form of immortality, continuing to teach, inspire, and provoke wonder long after their creators have passed into history. In reflecting upon these two wonders, one begins to understand that human ambition has always taken many forms, each suited to the cultural, environmental, and spiritual context of its creators. The Great Pyramid exemplifies endurance, religious devotion, and monumental scale. The Hanging Gardens evoke creativity, aesthetic sensibility, and the desire to harmonize nature and human construction. Together, they represent complementary aspects of human expression: the eternal and the ephemeral, the practical and the poetic, the visible and the imagined. They invite us not only to marvel at what was achieved, but also to consider what it means to strive for greatness, to shape the world, and to leave behind something that communicates across millennia. The story of the statue of Zeus at Olympia and the temple of Artemis at Ephesus offers a window into the remarkable creativity, religious devotion, and cultural sophistication of the ancient Greek world. These two wonders, though separated by geography and differing in function, share a common purpose. They were expressions of human ambition and reverence, designed to awe, inspire, and connect people with the divine. In the Mediterranean world, religion and civic life were intertwined. Temples and statues were not mere artistic endeavors. They were central to the spiritual, social, and political identity of a city or state. To understand these wonders is to understand the values, beliefs, and technological accomplishments of the civilizations that produced them, as well as the enduring influence they have had on art, architecture, and human imagination. The statue of Zeus was created in the early 5th century BC in Olympia, Greece, by the sculptor Phidias, one of the most renowned artists of his time. Olympia was already famous as the site of the Olympic Games, a festival held every 4 years in honor of Zeus, the king of the Greek gods. The city was a religious and cultural hub, attracting visitors from across the Greek world who came to witness athletic competitions, participate in rituals, and pay homage to the gods. The construction of the statue was intended to solidify Olympia's status as a center of worship and to demonstrate the skill, wealth, and devotion of its people. The scale of the statue was breathtaking, approximately 12 meters tall, seated on an elaborate throne made of ivory and gold with wooden substructures. Its sheer size ensured that it dominated the sanctuary, visible to visitors from afar, creating an immediate sense of awe and reverence. The craftsmanship of Phidias was unparalleled. The statue's ivory was used to represent Zeus's exposed flesh, while gold adorned his robes, accessories, and the intricate details of his throne. The throne itself was a masterpiece, elaborately decorated with sculpted scenes of mythology, carved figures of gods and heroes, and inlaid precious materials that highlighted both technical skill and artistic imagination. Every detail of the statue conveyed not only the grandeur of Zeus as a deity, but also the sophistication of Greek artistry. Phidias combined realism with idealism, capturing both the physical presence of the god and the symbolic weight of his power. The statue's expression, posture, and elaborate adornments were designed to evoke a sense of divine majesty, reminding all who saw it of the authority, justice, and omnipotence of Zeus. The placement of the statue within the temple of Zeus was equally significant. The temple itself, built with large limestone and marble blocks, was designed to complement the statue and create a cohesive experience for visitors. As worshippers entered the temple, they would have been immediately struck by the scale of the statue, which towered above them and filled the sacred space. The combination of architecture, sculpture, and ritual created an immersive religious experience, a moment of transcendence in which human beings felt the presence of the divine. Pilgrims and spectators who attended the Olympic Games would have been deeply influenced by this sight, as the statue reinforced cultural values, religious devotion, and civic pride. Despite its fame and splendor, the statue of Zeus did not survive antiquity. Historical records suggest that it was eventually destroyed, possibly in a fire in the 5th century CE, though the exact circumstances remain uncertain. Some accounts indicate that the statue may have been moved to Constantinople before its destruction. Its loss is significant not only because of the statue's physical beauty, but also because it represented a pinnacle of Greek artistic achievement. Today, knowledge of the statue comes primarily from descriptions by ancient historians, travelers, and artists who attempted to recreate its appearance in drawings, mosaics, and small-scale models. These records, while fragmentary, preserve the memory of a work that was once considered the greatest sculptural representation of a deity in the ancient world. The Temple of Artemis at Ephesus, located in modern-day Turkey, represents another dimension of human creativity, monumental architecture, and civic expression. Unlike the statue of Zeus, which primarily served a religious and artistic purpose, the Temple of Artemis was both a religious sanctuary and a symbol of civic identity. The temple was dedicated to Artemis, the Greek goddess of the hunt, the moon, and nature, and it reflected the wealth, devotion, and ambition of the city of Ephesus. The temple underwent several reconstructions over centuries, each iteration seeking to surpass the previous in scale, beauty, and artistic sophistication. By the 4th century BC, It had become one of the largest and most elaborate temples of the ancient world, featuring more than 100 marble columns, each intricately carved and designed to support the massive roof while creating a sense of openness and grandeur. The artistry of the Temple of Artemis was extraordinary. The friezes, sculptures, and reliefs that adorned the structure depicted mythological scenes, heroic narratives, and symbolic motifs. Craftsmen from across the Greek world contributed to the temple's decoration, making it a showcase of contemporary artistic trends and technical mastery. The combination of scale, detail, and aesthetic harmony created a space that was both awe-inspiring and spiritually resonant. Pilgrims, merchants, and visitors to Ephesus would have been drawn to the temple not only for religious purposes, but also to witness a cultural and artistic marvel that reflected the city's status as a powerful, prosperous center of trade and influence. The history of the Temple of Artemis is marked by both triumph and destruction. The temple was destroyed multiple times, reflecting the turbulent history of the region. One notable incident occurred in 356 BCE, when an arsonist named Herostratus set fire to the temple in an attempt to achieve lasting fame. The city, deeply outraged by the act, rebuilt the temple on an even grander scale, demonstrating the resilience, dedication, and civic pride of its people. Later, invasions, earthquakes, and the changing political landscape of the Roman and Byzantine periods contributed to its ultimate destruction. By the end of antiquity, little remained of the original structure, and the site gradually faded from public memory. Archaeological excavations have revealed fragments of columns, sculptures, and decorative elements, allowing historians to reconstruct a sense of the temple's former glory, but much of the original magnificence exists now only in imagination and historical texts. Both the statue of Zeus and the Temple of Artemis reveal the deep integration of art, religion, and society in the ancient Greek world. These wonders were more than monuments. They were embodiments of cultural identity and religious devotion. They served to connect the human and divine realms, to inspire awe and reflection, and to communicate values that were central to Greek society: reverence for the gods, admiration for skill and beauty, and the pursuit of excellence in all endeavors. Visitors to these sites would have been immersed in an environment carefully designed to impress, educate, and inspire, demonstrating the power of architecture and sculpture to shape perception and experience. The engineering and artistic achievements of these wonders also highlight the sophisticated knowledge possessed by ancient Greek artisans and architects. Creating the statue of Zeus required not only artistic skill, but also an understanding of materials, structural integrity, and proportion. Working with ivory, gold, and wood on such a massive scale presented challenges in weight distribution, durability, and visual coherence. Similarly, constructing the Temple of Artemis involved advanced architectural planning, knowledge of structural forces, and precise craftsmanship in carving and assembling massive marble blocks. Both projects demanded coordination, labor management, and a vision that could translate abstract ideals into tangible forms. Beyond their technical and artistic achievements, these wonders had profound social and economic impact. The creation of such monumental works required mobilization of resources, labor, and expertise, stimulating local economies and promoting cultural exchange. Craftsmen, artists, and laborers traveled across regions, sharing knowledge and techniques that enriched their respective communities. Pilgrimages and visits to these sites fostered trade, communication, and the dissemination of ideas. In essence, the wonders functioned as catalysts for cultural and economic activity, reinforcing the city's importance and the civilization's influence across the Mediterranean world. The statue of Zeus and the Temple of Artemis also demonstrate the interplay between permanence and impermanence in human achievement. While both were built with extraordinary care and attention to detail, neither survived intact to the present day. Their destruction, whether by fire, invasion, or natural disaster, illustrates the vulnerability of even the most magnificent human creations. Yet, paradoxically, this very fragility contributes to their enduring fascination. Scholars, historians, and enthusiasts are drawn to these lost wonders precisely because they exist now as mysteries, as challenges to our imagination and understanding. They remind us that human ambition is both powerful and ephemeral, capable of producing works that endure in memory and influence long after the physical structures have vanished. The legacy of these wonders is also evident in their influence on later art and architecture. The ideals of proportion, beauty, and grandeur embodied in the statue of Zeus and the temple of Artemis informed subsequent generations of artists and architects throughout the Roman Empire and beyond. Temples, statues, and civic monuments in later periods drew inspiration from these creations, adapting Greek principles to new contexts while preserving the emphasis on harmony, skill, and symbolic meaning. In this way, the wonders achieved a kind of immortality, shaping aesthetic and cultural standards long after their physical forms were lost. Moreover, these wonders exemplify the human desire to connect with the transcendent. The statue of Zeus conveyed the presence of a supreme deity, inspiring reverence and contemplation. The temple of Artemis provided a sacred space for worship, reflection, and communal gathering. Both structures served as mediators between the earthly and the divine, embodying the belief that humans could, through skill, devotion, and creativity, approach the divine in form and expression. In doing so, they remind us that art and architecture have always been more than functional. They are instruments for expressing values, beliefs, and aspirations that transcend the material world. In contemplating the statue of Zeus and the temple of Artemis, we also confront the tension between memory and history. Neither structure survives in its original form, yet both continue to captivate and inspire through historical records, artistic depictions, and archaeological fragments. This persistence of memory underscores the power of human imagination and the enduring significance of cultural achievements. Even in absence, these wonders speak to us across time, offering lessons about creativity, devotion, and the drive to achieve greatness. They are reminders that while physical forms may decay, the ideas, values, and aspirations they embody can endure indefinitely. Ultimately, the statue of Zeus at Olympia and the temple of Artemis at Ephesus represent complementary dimensions of human achievement. One embodies the pinnacle of sculptural artistry, capturing divine majesty in physical form. The other exemplifies monumental architecture, integrating space, structure, and decoration to create an immersive experience. Together, they reflect the complexity, ambition, and sophistication of ancient Greek civilization, revealing a culture that valued not only practical skill, but also aesthetic vision, spiritual connection, and civic pride. Their stories continue to inspire curiosity, admiration, and reflection, reminding us that human creativity knows no bounds and that the pursuit of excellence is a timeless endeavor. The mausoleum at Halicarnassus represents one of the most remarkable achievements of the ancient world, combining architectural ingenuity, artistic mastery, and cultural symbolism into a single monument that has captured the imagination of scholars, historians, and travelers for centuries. It was built as a tomb for King Mausolus, the satrap of Caria, and his wife Artemisia Roman II, in the city of Halicarnassus, located in what is now Bodrum, Turkey. Although it no longer stands, the mausoleum's influence endures, not only in the surviving ruins and fragments, but also in the very term mausoleum, which has come to denote grand tombs across cultures and eras. The structure exemplified the fusion of Greek, Egyptian, and Lycian architectural and artistic traditions, reflecting the cosmopolitan nature of Caria and the broader Hellenistic world. Understanding the mausoleum requires examining its historical context, its design and construction, the cultural significance it held, and the legacy it left for generations that followed. Mausolus was a ruler in the mid-4th century BC, overseeing Caria, a region in southwestern Asia Minor. His reign was marked by political acumen, cultural patronage, and an effort to project power both regionally and within the broader Hellenistic world. Artemisia, his wife and sister, ruled with Mausolus, and upon his death in 353 BC, undertook the task of commemorating his life and legacy through the construction of a grand tomb. This project was not merely a private act of mourning or devotion. It was also a public statement of status, authority, and cultural sophistication. The mausoleum was intended to immortalize Mausolus and Artemisia's family, to assert the power and prosperity of Halicarnassus, and to stand as a testament to the artistic and technical capabilities of the region. The mausoleum was designed to be an extraordinary combination of form, scale, and ornamentation. Historical accounts describe it as a rectangular structure raised upon a platform, surrounded by a colonnade of finely crafted columns that supported a stepped pyramid roof. The total height of the monument is estimated to have been around 45 meters, making it one of the tallest structures of its time. The architectural design incorporated elements from Greek, Egyptian, and Lycian styles. The colonnade reflected Greek influence, emphasizing proportion, harmony, and the classical orders, while the stepped pyramid roof drew inspiration from Near Eastern funerary architecture. The integration of these diverse styles created a visually striking and culturally resonant structure, reflecting the interconnectedness of the Mediterranean and Near Eastern worlds in the Hellenistic era. The artistic embellishments of the mausoleum were equally impressive. Sculptures adorned the base, friezes, and roof, depicting scenes of battle, mythological narratives, and ceremonial processions. These sculptures were not mere decoration. They communicated the power, accomplishments, and virtues of Mausolus and his family. Carved in high relief and crafted with meticulous attention to detail, they exemplified the skill of the artists and craftsmen involved. Historians have speculated that renowned sculptors of the Greek world, such as Scopas and Leochares, contributed to the project, bringing together some of the finest artistic talent available. The combination of scale, complexity, and craftsmanship ensured that the mausoleum would stand as a visual and symbolic focal point for the city, attracting visitors, dignitaries, and worshippers alike. The construction of the mausoleum posed considerable logistical challenges. Quarrying, transporting, and shaping massive blocks of marble required advanced knowledge of engineering and project management. The coordination of sculptors, stonemasons, and laborers over many years demonstrated the organizational sophistication of the society that produced it. The precision and care evident in the surviving fragments suggest that construction was carried out with meticulous planning, ensuring both structural integrity and aesthetic harmony. The process of building the mausoleum was as much a display of political power as it was an architectural endeavor, illustrating the ability of Mausolus and Artemisia to mobilize resources, talent, and labor on an unprecedented scale. The cultural significance of the mausoleum extended beyond its immediate function as a tomb. It was a public monument that communicated social, political, and religious messages. In the Hellenistic world, rulers often sought to immortalize themselves through grand architecture, linking their personal legacy to the city and to the divine. By commissioning a structure that incorporated diverse artistic traditions, Mausolus and Artemisia signaled their cosmopolitan outlook, their appreciation for artistic innovation, and their connection to the broader cultural currents of the Mediterranean. The mausoleum served as a tangible embodiment of their authority and sophistication, a site where political power, artistic achievement, and religious devotion converged. The mausoleum's prominence did not go unnoticed by contemporaries. Ancient writers such as Pliny the Elder included it in their lists of the 7 wonders of the world, alongside other monumental creations that epitomized human ambition and ingenuity. Its inclusion in such lists reflects both the aesthetic impact it had on visitors and the symbolic weight it carried as a cultural and political statement. Travelers to Halicarnassus would have been struck not only by the size and beauty of the mausoleum, but also by its integration of architecture, sculpture, and urban context. The monument was situated to command attention within the city, serving as both a landmark and a symbol of civic identity. Despite its grandeur, the mausoleum, like so many ancient wonders, did not survive the passage of time. Earthquakes in the region during the Middle Ages caused significant damage, reducing the structure to ruins. Over time, much of the marble and stone was repurposed by locals for construction projects, further eroding the original monument. By the 15th century, very little of the mausoleum remained visible above ground. However, the impact of the structure endured, both in the cultural memory of the region and in the broader architectural legacy it inspired. The term mausoleum itself derives from Mausolus' tomb, a linguistic testament to its lasting influence. Across centuries and cultures, grand tombs for rulers and dignitaries have drawn inspiration from the mausoleum at Halicarnassus, reflecting its enduring role as a model for monumental funerary architecture. Archaeological excavations in the modern era have uncovered fragments of the mausoleum, including pieces of sculpture, column bases, and architectural elements. These remnants allow historians and archaeologists to reconstruct aspects of the structure, offering insights into its scale, design, and decorative program. Careful study of the sculptures reveals the techniques, stylistic choices, and narrative strategies employed by ancient artisans. The friezes, for example, depict dynamic scenes of battle and ceremonial activity, conveying movement, emotion, and hierarchy. Such details illustrate the technical skill and artistic sensibility of the Hellenistic period, highlighting how monuments functioned not only as physical structures, but also as narrative devices, communicating power, memory, and cultural identity. The mausoleum also provides insight into the relationship between rulers and their subjects in the Hellenistic world. Commissioning such a monumental tomb required the consent, resources, and labor of the city and its inhabitants. It was a display of authority that reinforced social hierarchies while simultaneously fostering civic pride. Citizens of Halicarnassus would have recognized the mausoleum as a reflection of their city's prominence and their rulers' achievements, reinforcing the legitimacy of political power through visual and symbolic means. In this sense, the mausoleum functioned as both a personal memorial and a public monument, bridging the private and the collective, the individual and the state. The mausoleum's significance extends beyond architecture and sculpture. It also represents human attempts to achieve immortality through art and construction. Mausolus and Artemisia sought to ensure that their names, achievements, and cultural sophistication would endure for generations. By combining aesthetic excellence, technical skill, and monumental scale, they created a structure that would capture the attention of future generations. Although the physical monument has largely vanished, its memory persists, illustrating the power of human creativity to transcend temporal limitations. The mausoleum serves as a reminder that even when the material world is impermanent, the ideas, ambitions, and cultural achievements embedded within it can endure. In addition to its architectural and cultural significance, the mausoleum at Halicarnassus represents the broader Hellenistic engagement with cross-cultural exchange. Caria was a region at the crossroads of Greek, Persian, and Anatolian cultures, and the mausoleum reflects this blending of influences. Greek elements are evident in the columned colonnade and sculptural style. Egyptian and Near Eastern motifs inform the stepped pyramid roof and funerary symbolism. This synthesis of traditions illustrates how art and architecture in the Hellenistic world were shaped by interaction, trade, and the movement of ideas. The mausoleum thus stands as a symbol of cultural dialogue, demonstrating how societies can create something unique and enduring by integrating diverse influences. The mausoleum also invites reflection on the role of memory and legacy in human societies. Mausolus and Artemisia constructed a monument to commemorate their lives, yet the impact of their work extends far beyond personal remembrance. By inspiring subsequent architectural projects, influencing artistic traditions, and entering the collective imagination as one of the seven wonders of the world, the mausoleum exemplifies how human creations can achieve a form of symbolic immortality. Its legacy is evident not only in other monumental tombs, but also in the continued fascination it holds for historians, archaeologists, and enthusiasts. Each fragment, each surviving sculpture, and each historical account contributes to a larger narrative about human ambition, creativity, and the desire to be remembered. In reflecting on the mausoleum at Halicarnassus, one is struck by the interplay between permanence and impermanence, visibility and memory, art and politics. The structure itself has largely disappeared, yet it continues to inspire admiration and study. Its design, scale, and decoration provide insights into the technical and artistic capabilities of the Hellenistic world. Its symbolic and cultural significance reveals how rulers used architecture to communicate power, identity, and devotion. Its enduring influence demonstrates the capacity of human achievement to transcend physical limitations, leaving a legacy that resonates across time and geography. Ultimately, the mausoleum at Halicarnassus exemplifies the aspirations of ancient civilizations to create monuments that reflect both human skill and the desire to connect with something larger than oneself. It reminds us that architecture and sculpture are not merely functional or decorative. They are instruments for expressing values, shaping experience, and communicating across generations. Even in ruin, the mausoleum tells a story of ambition, creativity, and cultural sophistication, inviting us to consider the enduring impact of human endeavors and the ways in which art and architecture can achieve a form of immortality. The mausoleum's story is one of vision, collaboration, and ambition, from its conception by Artemisia to its completion through the labor of artisans and workers. It was a project that required imagination, resources, and coordination on an extraordinary scale. It demanded the integration of engineering, art, and symbolism in ways that were unprecedented at the time. Its construction would have involved planning the foundation, quarrying and transporting marble, carving intricate sculptures, assembling massive stones, and ensuring that the overall design maintained structural stability while achieving visual harmony. Every aspect of the mausoleum reflects careful thought, technical expertise, and aesthetic judgment, underscoring the remarkable achievements of the Hellenistic world, even though natural disasters and human activity have reduced the mausoleum to fragments. These remnants continue to tell a story. They reveal the attention to detail, the narrative richness, and the technical skill that characterized Hellenistic monumental architecture. Scholars can study the sculptures to understand stylistic trends, symbolic representation, and social hierarchies. Archaeologists can examine the foundation and remaining architectural elements to gain insight into construction techniques and urban planning. Each fragment contributes to a broader understanding of how ancient societies expressed ambition, power, and devotion through monumental art and architecture. The mausoleum at Halicarnassus also exemplifies the ways in which monumental structures functioned as centers of memory and identity. For the citizens of Halicarnassus, the mausoleum would have been a point of civic pride, a reminder of their city's importance and sophistication. It provided a tangible link between the ruler and the community, reinforcing social cohesion and cultural identity. Visitors from across the Mediterranean would have encountered a structure that conveyed both technical mastery and symbolic meaning, leaving a lasting impression and contributing to the city's reputation. In this sense, the mausoleum was more than a tomb. It was a tool of diplomacy, prestige, and cultural influence. In conclusion, the mausoleum at Halicarnassus represents the pinnacle of Hellenistic ambition, blending architecture, sculpture, and symbolism into a monument that communicated power, devotion, and cultural sophistication. It reminds us that human creativity has long sought to transcend mortality, to leave a legacy that endures through time. Though the physical structure has been largely lost, its influence remains evident in architectural traditions, artistic inspiration, and historical memory. The mausoleum invites us to consider not only what civilizations can achieve, but also how they choose to be remembered, illustrating the enduring interplay between ambition, artistry, and legacy that continues to shape our understanding of the past. The Colossus of Rhodes and the Lighthouse of Alexandria represent two of the most striking examples of human ambition and ingenuity in the ancient world. Monuments that combined technical skill, artistic vision, and cultural significance in ways that continue to inspire fascination today. Both stood as symbols of power, prosperity, and innovation, yet each met a different fate, leaving behind only fragments, descriptions, and the enduring memory of their grandeur. Together, they reveal the diversity of human expression in the Hellenistic period, highlighting the lengths to which civilizations went to assert identity, impress visitors, and reach for the extraordinary. Understanding these wonders requires exploring the historical context in which they were built, the technical achievements they embodied, their cultural significance, and the legacy they left for subsequent generations. The Colossus of Rhodes was constructed on the Greek island of Rhodes in the 3rd century BCE, following a dramatic and transformative period in the island's history. In 305 BCE, Rhodes successfully resisted an attempted siege by Demetrius I of Macedon, an event that would have determined the island's fate and political alignment. In the aftermath of this victory, the citizens of Rhodes sought to commemorate their resilience, courage, and independence. The decision to build the Colossus was both a symbolic and practical endeavor. It was intended to honor Helios, the sun god, whom the Rhodians regarded as their divine protector, and to serve as a statement of civic pride that would project the island's power and prosperity across the Aegean and the Mediterranean. The Colossus was an unprecedented feat of engineering and artistic achievement. According to historical accounts, it stood over 30 meters tall, making it one of the tallest statues of the ancient world. It was constructed from bronze plates over an iron framework, supported by a foundation of stone and reinforced with lead in certain areas to ensure stability. The scale of the statue posed extraordinary technical challenges. Transporting and assembling the massive bronze plates, creating a framework capable of supporting their weight, and ensuring that the structure could withstand wind, weather, and seismic activity required ingenuity and meticulous planning. Engineers and craftsmen of Rhodes developed innovative solutions, combining knowledge of materials, structural mechanics, and artistic representation to achieve a result that had never before been attempted on such a scale. The artistic design of the Colossus was equally remarkable. Helios was depicted in a commanding pose, holding symbols of his divinity and radiance, with a stance that conveyed both strength and motion. The proportions were carefully calculated to convey majesty and harmony, ensuring that the statue would inspire awe from every vantage point. Contemporary writers described the statue as so imposing that it dominated the harbor, visible to sailors approaching the island from miles away. The Colossus thus functioned not only as a religious and cultural monument, but also as a practical marker, guiding ships and signaling the prosperity and importance of Rhodes. The construction of the Colossus took approximately 12 years, reflecting the scale and complexity of the undertaking. Laborers, artisans, and engineers worked in coordinated phases, casting bronze plates, shaping structural supports, and assembling the statue on site. The project demanded a high degree of technical skill, collaboration, and logistical organization, demonstrating that ancient societies were capable of achieving extraordinary feats through the combination of knowledge, creativity, and collective effort. The Colossus was more than a statue. It was a testament to human ambition, an attempt to create something monumental, permanent, and awe-inspiring in both physical and symbolic terms. Despite its grandeur, the Colossus did not survive indefinitely. In 226 BC, just 56 years after its completion, a powerful earthquake struck Rhodes, causing the statue to collapse. Ancient accounts suggest that it broke at the knees and fell onto the ground, shattering into large pieces. Remarkably, the fragments were so massive that they reportedly remained in place for over 8 centuries, attracting visitors, artists, and historians who marveled at the remains of what had once been considered one of the most impressive achievements in the Greek world. Even in ruins, the Colossus maintained its symbolic power, embodying resilience, human creativity, and the fleeting nature of even the most ambitious constructions. The story of its destruction and the eventual removal of its fragments also highlights the vulnerability of monumental architecture to natural forces, a recurring theme in the history of ancient wonders. The cultural significance of the Colossus extended beyond its physical presence. It was a symbol of civic identity, linking the people of Rhodes to their gods, their history, and their shared achievements. Religious devotion, political pride, and artistic expression converged in the creation of the statue, making it a focal point for both the inhabitants of Rhodes and visitors from across the Mediterranean. The Colossus demonstrated that monumental sculpture could serve multiple purposes: as a religious object, a statement of political power, a navigational marker, and an artistic masterpiece. Its influence is evident in subsequent monumental statues throughout history, which often sought to combine symbolism, scale, and technical innovation in ways that echoed the Colossus's achievements. While the Colossus was a celebration of human artistry and civic pride, the Lighthouse of Alexandria, also known as the Pharos of Alexandria, represented a different dimension of human ingenuity, practical engineering combined with monumental ambition. Built on the island of Pharos, which lay off the coast of Alexandria in Egypt, The lighthouse served both as a navigational aid for sailors and as a symbol of the city's status as a major center of commerce, culture, and knowledge. Commissioned during the reign of Ptolemy Roman II Philadelphus in the 3rd century BCE, the lighthouse was designed to guide ships safely into the busy harbor, preventing shipwrecks and facilitating trade in one of the most strategically important ports of the ancient Mediterranean. The design and construction of the Lighthouse of Alexandria were feats of engineering that remain impressive even by modern standards. Estimates suggest that the structure stood between 100 and 140 meters tall, making it one of the tallest man-made buildings of its time. The lighthouse was built in 3 tiers, a square base, a cylindrical midsection, and a smaller octagonal tower at the top, crowned by a statue, possibly of Zeus or Poseidon. Large blocks of stone were carefully cut and assembled, while internal ramps and staircases allowed access to maintenance areas, and sophisticated lamps, likely fueled by wood or oil, provided a visible light that could be seen for miles. Mirrors, possibly made of polished bronze, may have been used to amplify the light, further enhancing its visibility. This combination of practical functionality, technical precision, and monumental scale made the pharaohs both an engineering marvel and an enduring symbol of human creativity. The Lighthouse of Alexandria served not only a practical purpose, but also a symbolic one. It represented the power, wealth, and sophistication of Ptolemaic Egypt, signaling the city's importance to merchants, travelers, and rival powers alike. By combining utility with grandeur, the lighthouse communicated a message of prosperity and stability, projecting the city's influence across the Mediterranean. Its iconic silhouette would have dominated the harbor, creating a sense of awe for those arriving by sea. As a navigational tool, it reduced the risks of maritime travel, encouraged trade, and facilitated communication, demonstrating that engineering and architecture could serve both practical and symbolic functions simultaneously. The lighthouse was constructed over several decades, requiring careful planning, skilled labor, and extensive resources. Stone quarries, engineering expertise, and artistic design had to be coordinated to ensure both structural integrity and aesthetic impact. Its durability, standing for several centuries despite the challenges of weather, erosion, and occasional earthquakes, is a testament to the advanced knowledge and craftsmanship of the Ptolemaic engineers. Like the Colossus, the Lighthouse of Alexandria combined technical sophistication with cultural ambition, creating a monument that was both functional and inspirational. Despite its remarkable construction, the Lighthouse of Alexandria, like many ancient wonders, was not immune to the forces of nature. Over the centuries, it suffered damage from multiple earthquakes, gradually reducing its height and structural integrity. By the 14th century, it had collapsed entirely, leaving only remnants visible to modern archaeologists and historians. Yet even in ruin, the lighthouse's legacy endured. Coins, drawings, and written accounts provide evidence of its scale and design, allowing historians to reconstruct a sense of its grandeur. Its influence is also evident in subsequent lighthouse construction throughout the Mediterranean and beyond, shaping the design and purpose of these essential navigational aids for centuries. The Colossus of Rhodes and the Lighthouse of Alexandria share several commonalities despite their different purposes and forms. Both were constructed in the Hellenistic period, a time marked by cultural exchange, political ambition, and technological innovation. Both combined artistic vision with technical skill, reflecting the creativity and resourcefulness of their respective societies. Both served as symbols, one of civic pride and divine protection, the other of urban prosperity and maritime prowess, communicating messages that extended beyond their physical presence. Finally, both illustrate the tension between human ambition and the impermanence of the material world. The Colossus fell to an earthquake after just 56 years, while the lighthouse, despite standing for centuries, eventually succumbed to similar natural forces. These monuments remind us that even the most extraordinary human achievements are vulnerable to time and nature. The cultural and social impact of these wonders was profound. In Rhodes, the Colossus served as a rallying point for civic identity, inspiring loyalty and pride among citizens and signaling the island's strength and resilience to the wider world. The lighthouse in Alexandria, meanwhile, facilitated trade, maritime safety, and urban prosperity, contributing to the city's reputation as a center of knowledge, commerce, and influence. Both structures attracted visitors, merchants, and scholars, creating opportunities for cultural exchange and economic growth. In this sense, the Colossus and the lighthouse were not only artistic and engineering feats, but also instruments for shaping society and projecting power. The legacy of these monuments extends far beyond their physical forms. The Colossus inspired subsequent monumental statues, from Roman emperors to modern sculptors, who sought to capture the combination of scale, symbolism, and technical innovation exemplified by Helios. Similarly, the lighthouse of Alexandria became the archetype for lighthouses worldwide, influencing designs that continue to guide sailors today. In both cases, the monument's cultural and technological achievements were transmitted across time, demonstrating the enduring influence of ancient ingenuity. Both wonders also highlight the human desire to create objects that connect with something greater than themselves. The Colossus honored a deity, expressing religious devotion and civic identity, while the lighthouse represented the city's mastery over nature and technology, ensuring safety and prosperity for generations. In each case, the monuments were attempts to achieve permanence, to leave behind a mark that would communicate across time and space. Even though both have been destroyed, their stories, representations, and fragments continue to captivate, reminding us of the capacity of human creativity to inspire, awe, and endure. The Colossus of Rhodes and the Lighthouse of Alexandria also serve as case studies in the interplay between human imagination, ambition, and environmental forces. Constructed with immense care and skill, they demonstrate what civilizations can achieve when resources, knowledge, and vision align. Yet their eventual destruction reminds us that no matter how grand or sophisticated a creation, it remains subject to the forces of nature, war, and time. These monuments, therefore, embody both the heights of human achievement and the humility that comes from recognizing the impermanence of even the most extraordinary accomplishments. Ultimately, the Colossus of Rhodes and the Lighthouse of Alexandria were products of their time, reflecting the political, cultural, and technological context of the Hellenistic world. They demonstrate the ability of humans to combine engineering, artistry, and symbolic meaning in ways that continue to resonate thousands of years later. They remind us that monumental works of art and architecture are more than structures. They are expressions of ambition, identity, and aspiration, capable of influencing societies long after their physical forms have vanished. Their stories teach us about resilience, creativity, and the enduring human desire to reach for the extraordinary, leaving behind monuments that continue to inspire wonder, curiosity, and admiration. As we reflect on the ancient wonders of the world, the Great Pyramid of Giza, the Hanging Gardens of Babylon, the statue of Zeus at Olympia, the Temple of Artemis at Ephesus, the Mausoleum at Halicarnassus, the Colossus of Rhodes, and the Lighthouse of Alexandria, it becomes clear that these monuments are far more than mere stone, bronze, or marble. They are embodiments of human imagination, ambition, and creativity, each telling a story about the people who conceived, designed, and built them. They speak to the enduring desire of humanity to reach beyond the ordinary, to achieve something that transcends time, to create a legacy that speaks across generations. Every block, every sculpture, every architectural detail was a statement of intent, a reflection of a civilization's volume.